before I lay me down, let's get this off my chest first. Excerpt of my life, I call it my next verse. I'm stressed, keep it in perspective, I'm an expert about this Northwest way of life. Hey, it could end worse. Welcome in, everybody. All right, here we are. So this is the first episode of UpLeft State of Mind. This is basically just a mental health focused podcast that it's just a safe place. My name is Ryan. I got a bunch of notes over here on the side. I'm gonna read off of these notes as we go. I'm going to try my best to make it not look like I'm just reading off of this stuff, but I have to write this stuff down or else I'm going to forget my train of thought. And that's part of my own mental health battle that I'm going through. So that's just a daily thing with me. I have to stay organized or I'm going to be all over the place. This is just a place where you guys can come and listen, and you can share, you can learn. Most importantly, it's just a place where you can come and you can be. You know, life is stressful. Moments get heavy. Thoughts can race. I know mine do all the time. I'm going to do my best to not let my speech just start going super fast. I need to just pace myself and slow down. And that's part of my panic disorder that I deal with. And my thoughts just racing all the time. And so when I start talking and rambling, that's a reflection of what's going on inside my brain all day long. So that's just kind of, that's that part. But yeah, breaths, your breath can become short at times. You get stressed out. But one thing is that's constant is the fact that things are generally better when you have support from other people. And so that's what we hope to provide here. I want to first off emphasize that I am in no way a trained professional. I'm not licensed in anything. I'm not certified. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health specialist. None of that. Anything, a view, an opinion, anything that you will hear on this show is just basically based on my own experiences and the things that I've encountered in life along the way, and things that I've soaked in from other people. And just, I want to have a place where I can share that. And so before we get really started in today's topic, usually I'm going to have a guest on and we're going to talk about stuff. But today I'm just going to do a little introduction like I'm doing now. Then we're going to get into a topic of discussion for today. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully we get some people active in chat, and then we're going to call it for today. So it's going to be a little bit shorter episode, but we're going to get right into it. But first off, I want to just take a second to thank everyone that is going to take the time out of their day, whether right now while we're live or after the fact on YouTube, and to watch this. And I know schedules are busy. 2:00 on a Saturday is not exactly the best time for people to sit down and watch a podcast for a half hour or an hour or however long. So if you show up today, which is going to be the topic we're going to talk about, but if you show up here for this podcast, I appreciate you. If you show up later for this podcast, I appreciate you. So with that said, we're going to get into it. The topic for today is showing up. And I struggle with this at times. I know a lot of people probably feel the same way, but it's just really important to show up. Small tasks become heavy at times. I know little things like become such a task, such a it's a burden to do little things sometimes when you struggle with mental health, whether it be anxiety or depression. I struggle with both of those. A lot of my depression comes from my anxiety. And so it's a real thing, and sometimes I just, I feel depressed and I want to get off work and just go home and lay in bed. You don't want to do anything. You don't even want to, just the thought of planning out the rest of your day feels heavy, and so it sucks. And so sometimes you just have to fight through that. You got to push through. You got to show up. The reward for showing up, a lot of the time, it's almost like instantaneous. And that's half the battle, is just to do it, to push through that initial urge to just sit or sulk or just be content not doing anything. You know, you push through that initial bit and you really get the reward right away. The burden of failure is another thing that I struggle with a lot. And I know at times that can be enough to make you not want to even push forward with the task at hand. And that's really a tough thing to battle with. I've definitely struggled with that a lot at times. And you gotta be confident. We're going to talk about confidence here in a second, but you know, you got to accept that failure is part of life, and it's also an important learning tool. And generally when we fail, it's because there's something that we need to learn still. You know, it's not necessarily that we're not good enough or we're not made for doing that task or we're not ever going to be able to accomplish it in the future. It's just we just got to learn. It's a process. We need to show up, we need to learn, we need to do, and then, you know, eventually you're not going to fail anymore. And so we just got to understand that and you know, move forward. And that's an important thing for me, especially, is just to realize that it's okay to fail. You're probably not going to fail, but if you do, it's okay. And we can come back from that. We can learn from it. Next time you show up, you're probably not going to fail. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Another big thing that I want to talk about is and it kind of has to do with showing up too. And the failure aspect of it is just we got to remember to not always base our value on how others hold us in their mind, if that makes sense. Our character is not always, and I just told my kids, I just talked to my kids about this the other day. Definitely my 12-year-old was having some struggles with kids' opinions at school and stuff, you know, and it's like, our character is not built on the opinion of others. We often hear like an opinion about us and it may be unfavorable, you know, and so we get caught up in the act of changing that person's mind or making sure the world knows that that person's wrong or their opinion is faulty, you know, and we're at like reality. Who cares really? Like, my 12-year-old he dyed his hair. He shaved it, buzz cutted his hair and, he buzz cut his hair and then he bleached it, and everyone dug it. You know, people are calling him Slim Shady, and he was cool with that, and highlighter and stuff, you know, whatever. But some kid called him something, whatever, was making fun of him, and he ended up leaving the group of kids he was playing with. My son did, because he didn't want to get made fun of anymore by this kid. And it sucks, and it's tough to deal with stuff like that. But you got to remember that, just what I said, like your character is not built on the opinion of others, and your value is not held in the opinion of what people have and what people think about you. And you know, it sucks that kids these days get caught up in that stuff and worry so much about what other people have to say about them, when in reality it doesn't matter, you know. Sorry, I lost my spot here for a second. That's one of the things I told you this was going to happen. I had to remember to keep tabs on where I'm at in my notes. Yeah. So it's like you got to look at the person that's holding that opinion, if you even want to spend time on it. I mean, if someone's opinion bothers you enough to want to change your actions or something about you, like, you probably need to take a look at who that person is. And if they're not in your immediate circle, if it's not the person that you lay in bed next to every night, or that you text good morning to when you wake up, if you guys don't live together, if you're in a relationship, or they're your best friends, or it's not somebody that you spend time with at work every day, you have to ask yourself, who are, like, why does it matter what they think? You know, most people that go out of their way to put you down have no actual bearing on the direction of your life. And if they do, they should find a new way to like communicate with you, because if they're trying to help you, if they see something in you that might possibly need changed or improvement, or, you know, as a friend, like, hey man, I think you could be doing this a little bit better, like, then they need to figure out a different way to come at you. Um, and then you just need to kind of reevaluate if that person even needs to be in your life. So that's just some things to remember about that. It's really important to not base your value on what other people think of you. Find your own worth, and then stick to that and build off of it, and it will really show in you as a person, you know. So we're gonna get back to showing up a little bit. The most important thing about showing up is just that confidence that I mentioned. The self-worth that you get from showing up is crazy. Like, just show up, have confidence. If it's a project at work, or if it's something you're working on at home, I got a story here. Okay, story time. And this is probably a story about, I wouldn't say failure necessarily, but this is a story about learning that I hold people's opinions of me in high regard, in higher regard than I should at times. And that also I try to find comfort. I find comfort in having people around me that support me. If I'm in an uncomfortable position, and that's a thing that I feel like everyone would have, everyone would share that feeling, probably. You know, you're in an uncomfortable situation, or some high stress environment, or somewhere where your confidence might be like, man, I wish I just felt a little better about this. Or, you know, you're gonna feel better if you have somebody with you. And but I really learned a lot about this experience. And so I make hip hop music. A lot of you people that watch this may know that. Some people may not know that about me. But I was getting back into making music around, this was probably around 2020. It was before COVID, I think. And there's a thing in Portland called Late Lyrics. Shout out to Late Lyrics. Everybody that's involved in that. It's a dope thing you guys got going up there. But I was like, man, my album's gonna release soon. I've been working really hard on this. I feel like I need to get the word out, and, you know, put myself out there, and branch out to Portland and Salem and all these areas. Being in McMinnville, there's not a lot of music scene here, and so I have to do what I can to it's non-alcoholic. It's fine. I got to do what I can to get the word out about what I'm doing here, because it's not going to happen on its own. And so I signed up for Late Lyrics up in Portland. It's an open mic type of thing where you sign up, you get like time for one song or something, two songs sometimes, and then you just go up, you perform, you wait your turn, and you perform. They run through a bunch of people every night, and it's a really dope thing. And it's awesome that they do that for people. They give people the opportunity to perform, get on stage, share their music and their craft with people. And so I signed up for it. I wanted to get up into Portland and get the word out, and share my new music that was about to drop. And I was super confident about it. And I'm feeling, I kind of felt it wasn't a resentment for, the Portland music scene is it's tough to crack, right? You're like, they have their own scene. Salem has its own music scene. And I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not really a part of either one, you know? And so I've worked with artists in Portland. I've worked with artists in Salem. I've worked with artists in Eugene, all over Oregon, pretty much. And I always wanted that. That reach in Portland more than I feel like I ever could establish it, you know? And so I was like, this is my chance, you know, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to show them, I'm going to spit one song that's dope and off my new shit. And I'm going to show them who Rizzle is, you know? And and so I went up there, you know, and just me getting in the car, on a Thursday night, driving up to Portland by myself. I hate going places by myself. Drove up there by myself. I hate going to shows by myself. It's really tough going to a show and performing by yourself because you shout out to Danielle Byro. I just went and did her birthday party a couple weeks ago, and a month ago maybe, and had to go by myself that night. And it's weird, you know. I showed up and I knew people there, and I talked to a bunch of people, and it was cool. But like, you know, there's times I showed up early and I tried to stay for as long as I could, and there's times where I'm sitting there by myself at the table, you know, twiddling my thumbs. You know, I'm not a social person. I'm an introvert. This is awkward, but you know, I try to show up for my people. And so that's just another time where I was out of my comfort zone, but showed up. And so I'm getting better at it. But back to the Portland story. So I showed up and I pulled into the parking lot, and I'm sitting outside by myself in the truck, trying to gain the confidence to go inside. You know, all right, what am I going to do when I go in there? I don't know anybody. I was trying to message people that I did know in Portland, let them know, hey, I'm going to be up here. I'm going to be up here, you know, come through, say what's up to me, blah, blah, blah. When really I just wanted I wanted a familiar face. I wanted that secure. Kids have security blankets, you know, my security blanket on stage is a familiar face. And so like, if I can have people in the building that I know support me and what I'm doing, even if it's one or two people in a group of 20 or 30 or 50, I will find some comfort in that. And so I had some people show up, a few people show up, sitting there hanging out, talking, blah, 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 enjoying the rest of the performers, this and that. And then the few people that I had there supporting me went out to smoke. Right as they leave, I get called up to perform. And so I'm like, okay, that sucks. I was feeling real bad about it going in. I get there. I felt good once the comfortable familiar faces showed up. I was like, yes, okay, man. You know, I got a couple people in my corner. The weight started to lift off a little bit. I felt good about it. And then they had to go outside to smoke. And then I went up. I had 2 songs to perform. I had to choose between the two. One of them was just like a bunch of bars, a dope hook. It was just bars, you know, focused, right? And then the other one was like a more hype performance, like a track I wrote for shows, you know, specifically for shows. And I wanted to, for one, my decision was based on the fact that I didn't like the vibe. I didn't feel comfortable with the vibe necessarily at that place in general. And then the people that were there to support me, or, you know, whatever, went outside. So then I was feeling less comfortable, and I was like, shit, I don't know if I perform this show track, like, I don't know if people are going to be, you know, hyped for it and vibing and this and that. And, you know, if the room's dull, and that's totally on me to get that energy up. But in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. And then it's like, damn, all right, I gotta make an impact. Let me spit these bars, you know, let me just spit these 2 16s, and a 16, a hook, and a 16, and it was all just bars, you know. All right, let me spit that. So I spit that. It was all right. It was okay. Ooh, you know, I killed it, whatever. But it wasn't to have to choose one of the 2 tracks that I was planning on performing was not ideal. And so I think I chose the wrong one. Had I chosen the hype show performance one, I think it would have been better. But my point about this whole story is I struggled with the confidence part of it, but I showed up. And so that's why I didn't really know if it was going to, if I would call it a failure story or what. But yeah, I ended up doing that one song. It was the homies came back inside, right, and I was like kind of sweaty, but I was off stage already, and they're like, what? And I'm like, man, like I just went up, you know, and they're like, oh, shit, sorry, blah blah. But and then I just kind of had to, I just kind of had to leave and drive an hour back home, not feeling great about it, not feeling the way that I wanted to feel about it. But you're not always going to feel great about your experiences. But the fact that I showed up built that confidence in me, at least enough to know that the next time I was encountered with a situation that was uncomfortable to me, I knew that I would be able to show up at least, and so that was something that I held on from that experience. And man, I still look back at that night and it just really kind of sucked, bro. Like it kind of sucked. I yeah, but and so that's that. And there's been some other times that I'll tell you one more story. So, and this is a story about confidence as well. This is also a story about confidence. So, we went on tour to Arizona, and I'm mad at myself because I don't remember. I don't even think we ended up performing, but I cannot remember. But we went to Arizona for a weekend to do a couple shows, and with Stormy, and it's Denny and Noah. No offense. And bro, I'm pretty sure Noah went too. I'm sorry, man. See, and that's part of my anxiety and my stress dealing with my life too, is that my memory is not great, and it's just like my mind doesn't always recall things like it should. And so yeah, but so we went to Arizona for a couple shows, and it turns out that some shit kind of went bad with the lining up of the shows with the promoter, and which will happen when you're lining up your own stuff. Shout out to Stormy for everything that he did to line that whole thing up. We flew to AZ. We went to the zoo. It was dope. It was an incredible trip. We saw the Joker in the theaters while we were down there. So it was cool, man. I seen flamingos in the zoo and shit in Arizona. It was dope. Me and Savannah went. It was cool. But the crazy part is we made that long journey. I went all that way. And as soon as the littlest bit of problem came up with like the shows, and it was like a little chance of maybe the shows weren't going to happen or something, I was like, fuck, kind of wish that wouldn't happen, like, oh, like, damn, that sucks, bro. But then like in my mind, I'm thinking like, that would be cool if it didn't, and it's like, why? But it boils down to, at the base of that, it's because I get scared of failure, and I get scared of not being everything. I hold myself to a certain level. I think we all hold ourselves to a certain level mentally, like in our own mind, like I'm fucking sick, bro, like, and it's hard to live up to that all the time, especially creating and being a musician, because there's always opinions, and so it's tough to live up to that all the time. And if you don't hold yourself in that high regard all the time, then it's tough to find the confidence to keep going, and so you have to be as confident as you can. And so my fear is, when I do what I do, people are going to look at me like like I don't belong, or like I'm no good and I'm pretending to be a rapper, or whatever the case is. I don't necessarily know why I feel that way, or where that comes from, because I've always had great support making music. I've always had great not great success. um I've always been semi-successful with what I do. And so that fear is a weird thing for me. That fear is a really weird thing for me. But I feel like the more that I recognize that, it gets easier to deal with, and it gets easier to overcome. And it's kind of just like, it's kind of like always there in the back of my head, but you have to realize, you got to realize that you're there for a reason. You made the initial choice to be there. You showed up. And so you got to act like you belong there, or else what's the point? What's the point of making that an initial effort of showing up if you're not going to have the confidence to execute? And so that's a crazy battle that we go through. I'm glad I could share a couple stories with you there. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy to think about confidence. It's like there's something almost charismatic about somebody being confident, that makes you comfortable around that person. Like, we all know somebody who has that aura or whatever, that when they walk in the room, and it's not like a physical attraction thing that they have, or anything like that, or like I'm better than you or something like that. But just when somebody walks in the room with that confidence, that self-confidence, that self-awareness, that they know what they're doing, they know how to do it, and they know what the result could be in their actions, if they follow through the way that they know that they can. It's crazy, that the way that it lights up everyone else in the room, or the way that it makes everyone else comfortable. And so, like, we can all be that confidence. We can all be that dude that walks in and puts everyone else at ease, because they are so confident in the fact that everything's going to be okay, and it's just crazy. It results in just a better experience, I think, for everyone around. And that's just kind of what I wanted to get across. I think I'm going to probably end it here. I had a couple stories I told you guys, and we kind of just basically talked on my whole spiel. We went over all my notes about showing up. I feel like I'm in a good place as far as what we've accomplished today during the episode. It's going to be shaky. It's going to be rocky. I'm not good with words. I'm not good at talking. I'm not good at conveying my thoughts in a well thought out and articulate way a lot of the time. And so, and that deals with my panic disorder as well. Sometimes I have trouble even forming a complete sentence, because I will start saying the sentence, and then in my brain, I've already finished that sentence and gone on to the next thing. And so, if you guys have made it this far in this episode, and I have not scared you off yet because I cannot form a coherent thought continuously, then I really appreciate you guys. I would love it if we could get some thumbs up on this, get some likes going on this video, and some comments, get some, share your thoughts, share your feedback. If you have good feedback. If you have bad feedback, any feedback is welcome. I know this is going to be a growing and a learning process for me. I know that there's going to be a lot of hiccups along the way, and I know that I'm probably going to screw up a whole lot while I'm doing this podcast, but I am holding myself accountable, and I showed up today, and I'm going to show up every time after this for this podcast, because I believe in the message, and I believe in trying to help people and show people that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and you know, we can make a difference together. So if you're here, I appreciate you. If you watch this in the future, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time so much. I just want to say thank you to my wife and everyone who is supporting me on this idea. And yeah, it's been a fun episode. Thank you guys for listening, and yeah, have a good day. Remember, it's okay to not be okay.
But before I lay me down, let's get this off my chest first. Excerpt of my life, I call it my next verse. Some stress, keep it in perspective. I'm an expert about this Northwest way of life. Hey, it could end worse.